All right, this is the organizational meeting and it is 6:30. So because it's the organizational meeting, I will conduct the first portion of this meeting and then I will turn it over to whoever is elected the chair. So at this point in time, I'll call the meeting to order and we'll have the Pledge of Allegiance. So I will put a flag up on the screen here. It's going to take me a minute. I'm sorry. All right. Let me just hold on. Somebody waiting. All right. Usually pretty good at this. All right. So the flag's on the screen, if you would. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States
of America.
The United
To
States
the
of
and to the
America,
republic
stands
which it stands,
which it
one
stands,
nation,
one
under
nation,
God, under God,
indivisible,
indivisible,
with liberty and justice for
justice
all.
for all.
Thank you all. So we've got quite a crowd tonight. We do not have any agenda adjustments for this evening, so we'll start this evening with 2.1. So welcome everybody. This is the organizational meeting. So at this time, I will take nominations from the current board for board chair. Robbie?
I'd like to nominate Robert English.
Okay, I have a nomination for Robert English. Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Okay. All right. Do I have any other nominations?
I had heard that Robbie did a very good job, and I would like to nominate him.
Okay, so I have a nomination for Robbie Gayton. Do I have a second?
Can I second two people?
See why not?
I don't see why not.
Okay, I would second Robbie too.
Okay, so we have a second for Robbie. All right, do we have any other nominations? All right, hearing none, I would take a motion for nominations to cease.
I move nominations cease.
Okay.
Second.
And I have a motion and second on that one. So nominations have ceased. At this point, Bob, would you accept the nomination?
Yes, I would.
Okay, Robbie, would you accept the nomination?
I would not.
You would not. Okay. All right, so that ends that. So at this time, I will take a roll call vote. So a vote in the affirmative is a vote for Robert English for chair for the upcoming year. So, Stephanie. Stephanie?
I think she's on mute.
Doesn't look like she's on. Yeah, she is on mute.
Yeah, she's on mute.
Let me see if I can unmute her. There she is.
Whoop,
Nope.
now she's back. You're on, Stephanie.
Oh, I don't think. All right, so let's do this. Stephanie, can you raise your hand? All right, so your vote in the affirmative. Okay.
I'll find a
Robbie.
way.
Yeah, Robbie.
Yes.
Yes. Andrea, you are not with us?
No.
No. Joe.
Yes.
Okay. Jen.
Yes.
Okay. Dory.
Yes.
Joan.
Yes.
And Bob.
Yes.
All right, so that nomination carries. Bob, congratulations. You are the chair for the upcoming year. And I will turn the meeting over to you.
All right, thank you. Thank you all for your support. We got a lot of things that are going to come up ahead of us this next year. And it's going to take all of us as a team working together to get it done. And hopefully we end up with the best results for the students that we can. So at this time, I ask for nominations for vice chair.
I'll nominate Rob Gayton.
Nomination for Rob Gayton. Is there a second?
Can I just say something, please, before you go any further? Robbie is from Sabattis and Jen is from Sabattis, and we cannot have two. Well, that would mean Jen would have to not be there. Okay. No, I was thinking if both people were from Sabattis.
We have
Forget it.
we have no limitations on where the
No.
officers have to be from. They could all be three be from Sabattis or Litchfield, and two from Wales because we only have two reps. So there used to be, when we were the Union and Oak Hill,
Yes.
there was an unspoken agreement of that, but there has never been anything in any writing to limit where our officers come
Right.
from.
Okay, that's
So
true.
can I
In the
have a-
past, we
Can I have a second for Robbie, please?
I'll second.
Okay, I have a nomination and a second for Robbie. Are there others? Any other nominations for vice chair? Seeing none, Robbie, are you willing to be the vice chair?
Yes.
Okay, if I could have a motion to close the nominations?
I move we close the nominations.
Thank you,
Second.
Joan. And second?
A second.
All right. Sorry, my outside line. It's somebody, I'm sure, who wants to sell me something or have me make a donation. I can mute that thing, answer it, and hang up. They like that. Okay, sorry. I'm not sure about the nomination cease. I don't think we need a motion for that, because then we have to vote on the ceasing of the nominations, and
that's-
then we have to vote on it. So it's
We-
just nomination cease,
Yep.
since there are no others. Now, Robbie has accepted the nomination, so if we could have a roll call vote.
Yep.
For Robbie, please.
Bob,
Yes.
Stephanie? Okay, she had a thumbs up. Robbie?
Yes.
Andrea is not here. Joe?
Yes.
Jen?
Yes.
Dory?
Yes.
And Joan?
Yes.
All right. The motion carries. Robbie is the vice chair.
Thank you.
You're welcome,
you.
Robbie.
Did I guess maybe did Litchfield elect a replacement?
Yes, there was a write-in candidate. I was going to address that under my superintendent's report, but Vicki Russell is with us tonight. She has not been sworn in yet, but she will be joining us on the board.
Welcome back, Vicki.
Congratulations, Vicki.
Thank you, everyone.
Okay, so at this time, we'd like to do assignments to school board committees. If there's anybody that is currently serving on a committee that would like to no longer serve on that particular committee, if you'd let us know. Otherwise, we could keep the same committee assignments because people have been involved in work that's ongoing. If that's not an issue, and then we will fill the void that has been left by Shelley's departure for whatever committee or committee she was on. Are there any objections? Anybody that wants to move off or move on to a particular committee?
Nope, not I.
Okay, so I see none, hear none. So we will maintain the current committee assignments as
Okay.
they have been this past year, and offer Vicki an opportunity once she's sworn in on where she can, where Shelley was, and see if those fit her. making sure that we keep a somewhat balanced committee assignment roles and don't overload anybody or undercut a committee.
And Shelley, just so you're aware, Vicky, Shelley was on the Finance and Facilities Committee.
All right. Moving on to item 3.1, to entertain a motion to approve the minutes of the June 10th, 2020 Board of Directors meeting.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion, any corrections? Seeing none. All those in favor of approving the minutes?
All right, Bob,
Yes?
Stephanie? She had a thumbs up. Robbie,
Yes.
Joe,
Yes.
Jen,
Yes.
Dory,
Yes.
Joan.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Petitions and communications.
I have none this evening.
I have received nothing.
Okay.
We'll move on to reports. Superintendent's report.
Okay, so first of all, everybody, we have a budget, which was pretty exciting. I got the final tallies last night about 2 o'clock in the morning, and to have the budget passed is always a good thing. I mean, as Bob pointed out, we've got a lot of work ahead of us, and to have the budget process itself out of the way is certainly a as I'm a compartmentalizer, so that compartment that exists in my brain, that stress level is a little less at this point. So to have that done is pretty exciting. I wanted to take a moment and welcome Vicky. When I first came to RSU 4, Vicky was on the board at that time. So welcome to you, Vicky. Other than that, I'll talk under another agenda item about some work we've had going on lately. We do have 2 resignations, Chantel Dunn and Alicia Lamar, and no appointments or no retirements.
All right. Any questions? So I apologize for the dogs. Hopefully they'll be quiet, but they don't like the Amish going by on their horse and buggy. So they go a little crazy sometimes.
I miss my puppies. It's just fine.
So the resignations were listed under the superintendent's report. Director's CAI report.
Yes, so tomorrow, Andy and I have a meeting with the Catalyst Ed folks, and through our BAR grant, we have been offered to work with Catalyst Ed, which will provide some extra supports for social and emotional needs. So we're going to talk to them tomorrow about what that could look like for supports for RSU 4. So I'm looking forward to seeing what they can provide, our administrators, our social workers, to help support our students and through this upcoming year. So I'm sure once I get some more information, I'll be able to share that with the board.
Thank you. Any questions?
Bob, could I add to that for a minute? So
Certainly.
So just to be aware, this is part of it. For those of you who may or may not know, we are part of the Western Maine Educational Collaborative, and this year Kathy was heavily involved with the WMEC. Kathy is heavily involved with the WMEC, and I am the president of that organization. And we secured a BAR grant for about $250,000 through that organization to do some portrait of a graduate work. Obviously, that got put on hold, but because of our relationship with the WMEC, we're able to tap into some of these things and hopefully get some support to do that work. So it's pretty exciting. Kathy works really closely with a group from this organization. So.
Thank you. No financial report tonight, unless Scott, you want to talk about progress with the auditors? No. Okay.
I'll be touching on that on the facilities and financial committee.
Okay. All right.
Yep.
Super. All right. We don't have any of the individual building or adult ed reports tonight. They'll be starting back up again before long. No student rep report. No other reports that I'm aware of.
Nope.
comments from the floor. So let me, because we have some new names on the screen here, comments from the floor is an opportunity from people from the community to go and comment about school-related matters. It's not a place to complain about a particular person. And we hope that if you have those type of issues, you have taken it through the administration of the building and so on. But it's an opportunity to speak about issues. It is as it's named, it's comments from the floor. So this isn't a period of time where we get into a lot of discussion about topics that might come up. So if you have something and you talk about it and you want it more in depth, then I encourage you to contact the superintendent's office to ask for it to be put onto an agenda as an actual discussion item, so that the board members and community members are aware ahead of time that it's going to be discussed, so that they can get the best response and light shown on the issue as possible. It has been the board's, I guess, tradition in the past that when we get to other items later in the agenda, that we allow the community members to speak, but that is usually the board will do its deliberation. I open it up for anybody in the community that would like to make a comment about the issue, add some information, whatever, and that may or may not result in the board having a little bit more discussion before the board takes an action, if an action is required. Sometimes the board just has discussion items and we're discussing it. Sometimes we have an action item and we will be voting. So you will have an opportunity, if you see something on the agenda that you want to speak about, you can mention it briefly under comments from the floor if you would like. And then you will have an opportunity before we take any vote to speak up. This opportunity is permitted. It's usually not a long drawn out thing. So, but it is an opportunity for us to get valuable input from the members of the community that see fit to join us at our meetings. So that being said, are there any comments from the floor? And I think the superintendent will unmute everybody if he's got them muted so that they can speak up, be recognized. I think there's also an ability to raise your hand someplace on Zoom, be recognized.
Yeah, I think raising hand is good. I actually, once people are in, I don't have the ability to unmute anymore. But certainly if anybody wants to speak, you can raise your hand or unmute yourself.
Okay. Anybody have any comments at this time? I hear none. So, we'll move on. So there's no old business listed on the agenda. Under new business, 7.1 is entertain a motion to authorize a finance committee chairperson to move no more than 5% between cost centers to ensure that no cost center is overdrawn.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. So discussion. So this is last year's budget numbers, not the one that we're currently in now.
Yes.
Right.
Robbie, you want to speak to it?
Yeah, usually what happens for new members and people that this is their first meeting, what happens is some cost centers get overexpended for certain items like special ed transportation or school lunch debt or whatever. So according to state law, we're able to move at least 5% from one cost center to cover those costs. And I'm in touch with Scott, and we look at the end, towards the end of the year, and cover that way.
Right. We normally do this in June, but at June,
Yeah.
I believe we were advised that it didn't look like any of the cost centers were going to be short.
Right.
And so we didn't have a need, but that has proven to be there is a necessity to move some dollars from one cost center to another.
Yes.
Scott, do you just want to talk about where we're moving?
Yes. Right now, all the cost centers except maintenance. I think we're over about $15,000 in maintenance. So we can move it from either special ed, other services, school administration, or even transportation. I mean, we have the funds in either of those to cover the 15,000.
Okay.
Yeah.
This won't impact any money that's been raised in the community or the overall balance. It'll just make each of the, I think it's nine
Yeah.
or 10 cost centers,
Right.
make them
Those-
whole.
Right, make them whole.
We do have a hand up, Bob.
Oh, okay.
Mark has a hand up.
Hi, Mark. I don't hear you. Mark Russell? You're not showing as muted, but I'm not getting any audio.
His audio isn't working. He wanted me to ask which fiscal year you are talking about.
For 2020, the year that just ended.
Did you get that, Mark? It should be clarified in the motion.
Yes, probably it should. We probably should, that's not incorrect. It probably should specify FY 2020, because we typically do that in June when we're currently in FY 2020.
All right,
Thank
so
you.
I would entertain a motion
Thank you, Mark.
to amend the motion to add, to make it read, to authorize the Finance Committee Chairperson to move no more than 5% of the 2020 budget between cost centers to ensure that no cost center is overdrawn.
So moved.
Second.
All right, moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Thank you, Mark, for pointing that out.
Yes, thank you.
No other discussion? Seeing none, then we'll, I think we have to vote on the amendment.
Yep, we do.
Unless we'd pulled it back, which I probably should have, but we'll vote on the amendment and then we'll vote on the motion.
Yeah. So this is the amendment. Bob,
Yes,
Stephanie. Okay, thumbs up. Robbie,
Yes.
Joe,
Yes.
Jen,
Yes.
Dory, Dory,
Dory?
Yes.
Who's there?
oh, yes, okay, there we go. Joan,
Yes.
Yes.
okay. The amendment carries.
Yes.
Okay, so now we'll vote on the motion as it was amended.
All right, so just to clarify, this is a no vote would be striking down the motion, not the amendment.
Correct,
Yep, so Bob,
yes.
yes or no, Bob?
Yes,
Okay, Stephanie,
thumbs up.
Robbie,
Yes.
Joe,
Yes.
Jen,
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Dory, Dory,
Yes.
and Joe.
Yes.
Okay, all right, we're good now. Thank you all.
All right, 7.2. To approve that the computation and declaration of votes dated and attached here to be, and it is hereby approved, and further that the computation and declaration of votes be entered upon the records of Regional School Unit Number 4, the Regional School Unit, and further that a certified copy of the computation and declaration of votes be sent to each of the municipal clerks within the Regional School Unit to be handed out at meeting.
So,
was the computation. So it's supplied it by email. Have a
Yeah.
motion, please.
So moved.
Have a second?
Second.
So moved and seconded. Andy?
yep, so this is one of those that requires a signature, so I will be sending that out through DocuSign later, probably tomorrow.
Any questions on the motion? This is certify the vote that took place yesterday, the
Yep.
results for the budgets. Okay, seeing no questions, we'll take the vote.
Okay, Bob,
Yes.
Stephanie, Robbie,
Yes.
Joe,
Yes.
Jen,
Yes.
Joan,
Yes.
Dory. Dory?
Yes.
Okay. All right, motion carries.
Thank you. 7.3,
Yes.
to approve a motion that the warrant for assessment of tax and the assessment schedule and notice of installments for each member municipality prepared by the treasurer for fiscal year 2020, 2021 be approved and be issued in form presented to this meeting, and that the treasurer be authorized and directed to deliver to each member municipality its warrant for assessment of tax and its assessment schedule and notice of installments. Further, that warrants for assessment of the tax and the assessment schedule and notices of installments shall each be signed by a majority of the school board, and that such signatures may be made electronically by execution of counterparts or in person at the convenience of the members of the school board. May I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion?
So this will be another one that I will be sending out through DocuSign tomorrow.
Any other questions? Discussion? Seeing none, we'll take the vote.
Okay, Bob,
Yes?
Robbie,
Yes.
Joan,
Yes.
Stephanie,
Thumbs up.
Jen,
Yes.
Joe,
Yes.
and Dory. All right. Motion carries. Thank you.
Okay. 7.4, to elect Kathy Herbert as a grade 2 teacher at the Libby Tozer School for the 2020-2021 school year as recommended by the superintendent of schools.
So moved. But Bob, her name is Kathleen. Kathleen.
Oh,
Yeah.
Kathleen.
Actually,
And
I think it's Caitlin.
It's Caitlin. Yeah, there was a typo in the agenda. It's
Okay.
Caitlin.
Hi, Kate.
Ms.
Okay,
Herbert.
Caitlin.
So I have,
Second.
And a motion, that was a motion, Joan, with comment. And I
Yes.
have a second?
Yes, yes,
Second.
it was.
All right,
Second.
I have a second. Any discussion? All those in favor?
all right, so we need a roll call. Bob,
Yes.
Stephanie, Robbie,
Yes.
Joe,
Yes.
Jen,
Absolutely.
Joan,
Yes.
and Dory.
Yes.
Awesome. Well, congratulations. And actually, Caitlin is here with us tonight. So,
Yay. Congratulations, Kate. Welcome aboard.
Thank you all.
and
Oh,
just
there she is. All right, it is Kate. Okay.
and just so you all know, she happens to be a graduate of Oak Hill High School, so she's
Yes,
technically
she does.
coming home. So
All
we're
right.
glad to have
Oh,
her.
hi.
Well, welcome back to the school unit.
Thank you.
I see Nicole's here also, so I'll try not to mess your name up.
You got a
And
couple
I'm
of them
sorry,
coming,
Kate.
Bob.
7.5, to elect Nicole Olette as a grade 2 teacher at the Libby Tozer School for the 2020-2021 school year as recommended by the superintendent of schools.
So moved.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Bob,
Yes?
Stephanie? Thumbs up. Robbie?
Yes.
Joe?
Yes.
Jen?
Yes.
Dory? Got a thumbs up. And Joan?
Yes.
Motion carries. And Nicole is with us as well this evening. She's a community member and a parent, and we're excited to have her on board as well.
All right,
you.
welcome.
Welcome aboard.
Thank you.
I see Diane, our next new prospect, is with us as well. So item 7.6, to elect Diane Whitmore as a French teacher at Oak Hill High School for the 2020-2021 school year, as recommended by the superintendent of schools.
So moved.
Second?
Yes, second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? Seeing none, we'll take the vote.
All right, Bob?
Yes?
Stephanie? Got a thumbs up. Robbie?
We.
Joe?
Yes.
Jen?
Yes.
Dory?
Yes.
And Joan?
Yes.
And we are also excited to have Diane on board. And Diane has quite a bit of experience in education, and it's pretty exciting to anytime you advertise a foreign language position, you never know, because the foreign language are not always easy position to hire. But I met with Diane and Marco, and I was really impressed. I think she's going to bring some great things to the table. So
Thank you very much.
Welcome.
Thank
Welcome.
you. Look forward to it. Thank you.
Welcome. So I'd like to welcome all three of you. Normally when we are together in the room, I kind of put you on spots and I kind of ask, why did you come to RSU for? So if you'd like to just maybe say something about what interested you in our programs or the teaching in RSU for. It'd be
Okay,
interesting to know.
I can start.
Okay.
My interest was, first of all, that when you advertise the position, the position announcement specified a teacher with a true love of the French language, and that certainly describes me. When I went on the website to check out the high school, I saw that Mr. Aliberti was the principal. He and I know each other from a leadership workshop in 2013. So I was very impressed with Mr. Aliberti at the time. So I was excited about the possibility of working with him. Googled and found out the school size was 360 students. I thought that was wonderful. I love small schools. And the school district has had an excellent reputation for as far back as I go. So I'm very excited about this opportunity, and coming out of retirement to join you.
Well, thank you very much. I'm glad you said this after I spent the day with Marco. Otherwise, I'd have had to put up with him all day today.
So thank you. I'm very excited.
Kate or Nicole?
Yeah, I mean, I can go. I just was super impressed. My own children are in the district, and I think one of the biggest things is until my kids were in the district, I didn't feel part of the community, and definitely being all the teachers, they just seem amazing at Libby Tozier, and I want to be in on that with them and learn from them, and the students. It's a real commitment. So I love the community, and I wanted to stay in this community. So that's why I chose RSU 4.
Thank you. Kate?
As for me, like Mr. Carlton said, I graduated from Oak Hill in 2016, and I went to school in Farmington to become an elementary teacher, because I think that my elementary teachers really inspired me to become a teacher and somebody that children can depend on. So I'm so happy to be back in the community and be a part of it and give back to my community.
All right, do we still have some of the teachers there that you had when you were in elementary school?
Yes.
All right. And that's a testimony to the longevity of the staff, and I think to the RSU 4 and its predecessors. I think we have an excellent staff of dedicated people that want to do the job, want to do it right, and welcome to that group. I'm sure you will find professional satisfaction being an RSU 4.
So I will share, Bob, that it was kind of a full circle for me because Kate was a student at the high school when I was an assistant principal there. So to have a former student coming to work for us is pretty amazing, to be quite honest. Either that or I'm starting to get old, one of the two things.
Yeah, I hear you.
It's
All right.
amazing.
7.7, an update on school in the fall.
So, I think this is a hot button topic right now. So I hope nobody's got their hopes up that I'm going to lay out this grand plan for what school looks like in the fall, although I may have set the stage for that with this agenda item. I just kind of wanted to make you aware of the work that we're doing right now. Bob alluded to the fact that he spent the day with Marco. He actually got to spend the day with all of us. Looking at some things. So just kind of backing up a little bit, June 15th, the Department of Education put out a document, the Return to School Framework or Reintegration to School Framework. Kathy and I and the administrator spent some time digesting that. What that boiled down to was we decided to put together some committee work, and we put together 4 ad hoc committees based upon the 5 areas of that reintegration to school plan. Those committees have met over the course of the last 2 weeks. I put it out to the staff, anybody who wanted to be involved, to let us know. We had a great turnout for that. They met by Zoom over a couple of 2-hour sessions to go through the different portions of the framework. Today, as part of that, the ad hoc committees were really part of the larger group called the Collaborative Planning Team. And so today, the Collaborative Planning Team met to start going over those recommendations. At this point, we still aren't finished with our work, but I wanted everybody to know that we're working on that. What's really going to drive that is the designation we get from the department or the state. The state has come up with a plan to give, and Kathy, let me get my colors right. It's red, yellow, and green, correct? So red, yellow, and green, depending on the different health metrics in your communities. So the number of cases of COVID-19, hospital capacity, number of hospitalizations, all those kind of things. And so once we get our color designation, we can then start really digging into what school is going to look like in the fall. Basically, we're looking at 3 potential options. One of them being a full return to school, one of them being a hybrid model, and one is full remote learning. And basically, once we get our color designation, green would be full return to school, yellow would be a hybrid model, and red would be full remote learning. So I just kind of wanted to make everybody aware that that work was ongoing. Once we get that color designation, we'll be bringing a plan to the board to look at. It'll include things such as staff expectations, student expectations, what learning expectations will look like, what the mode of learning will look like, busing, all those kind of things. Because once we've made those decisions based upon our color designation, we'll then submit that to the Department of Ed. So, we are working on it. I know people want to know what we're going to do in the fall. I want to know what we're going to do in the fall. But until we have more information from the DOE, we get that designation, we get those public health metrics, we just can't make decisions at this point. One of the things to note, I sent the board an email recently about fall sports. I made the decision to, Jim and I together made the decision to not go forward with the Maine Principals Association Phase 1 opening of sports. Basically, it was the opportunity to do conditioning. Jim and I had a lot of long talk about, what that would look like, what the efficacy was of that. And what we came down to was, given all the rules surrounding it, and given that it was just conditioning, things that students could do and our student athletes could do on their own, it didn't make sense to risk the chance of any sort of case of COVID-19, or to risk, having the rules, maybe, something happen with regards to the rules. However, we have made the decision to go forward with Phase 2 that starts on Monday. Basically, that's the ability to have a 2-hour block where you do conditioning and some individual skill work. So it's really an opportunity to test out. All in all, and I made this comment today, Bob heard me make this, a few of you did. hope is not a strategy, but I do hope that we can come back to school in the fall. I will tell you, I miss our kids. I miss our staff being in the buildings. And more importantly, our kids need each other. And we need to get our eyes on the kids. So, my hope is that we're going to be able to do that, but a lot of that is going to hinge on what our designation is from the state. Kathy, I don't know if you want to add anything. I summarized that pretty well. So that work is ongoing. I will keep you updated. Kathy and I do have a planned Zoom that I'm actually going to email staff and we put it out on Facebook this week, just to kind of update the community and our staff on that Zoom's going to be on Friday morning, to update everyone on the work that's been ongoing and the DOE, the role the DOE plays. So I'll be sending that out later, and it has been posted on Facebook. So that's where we are currently. Bob, I don't know if you want to add anything from today or not.
I think all I would add is that the administration has to submit basically an outline of a plan. It's not a full-fledged plan that would go into the Department of Education, I think, by the 27th of the month. Department of Education will look it over, say what's good, what's bad, what we might have to change, and then they will send it back. So there are about as many questions as there are answers in the work that was done today, because we don't know. We don't know, are we going to be able to put 46 high school students on a bus? Or are we going to be able to put 23, one to each seat? Or are we going to have to skip a seat and have 13? There are a lot of logistics about that and about serving lunches. And until we know whether we're going to be allowed to go back 100% into the classroom, and then at the same time, what restrictions are there going to be placed to be able to do that? Because it's not going to be the same as it was in February. So even if we're green, I'm sure there's going to be caveats on what can and can't be done and how many people can be done. So there's a great deal of work that needs to be done in a short period of time. We're hoping that it doesn't have to be 100% remote. We would like for it not to be a hybrid. But some of that is outside of our control. And all we can do is take the guidance and the requirements that we have and that are being given, and then come up with a real plan that the board will then have to approve, because that will become policy. There's bits in there about requirements for staff and students to maybe wear masks or to keep certain distances. How do we put, what will sports look like? Will, have no spectators, or we'll just have a couple? How do we get a football team to an away game when we can't put that many kids on a bus and we don't have that many bus drivers to split them up? So there's a lot of things that hinge on what information we're going to get from the Department of Education and CDC, which, as we all know, if we're watching the news, changes from the federal level to the state level all the time, what their recommendations and requirements are. So by the time school starts, we will probably have 2 or 3 more sets of guidelines like we've had since in June. So that's why I said we have a lot of work to go and do. It is being looked at, and if you talk to any of our residents and they talk about opening school and what it's going to be like, the best we can tell them is that we're working on it diligently with all the information that we have, and we just don't have a final scenario yet that we can implement.
And I think it's important to note, one of the things we're putting at the forefront is student and staff safety. That is our biggest thing. How do we make sure our students are safe? How do we make sure our staff are safe? Because ultimately, that is our duty, not only as educators, but as human beings. And so, Bob hits the nail on the head. We're doing everything we can. Ultimately, the goal is to get our students back in our buildings, but the game keeps changing a little bit, and we have to be open to the understanding that that's going to happen, and we have to be flexible to be able to do it at the same time.
Right, and by extension, keeping our students safe means that we're also keeping their parents, their siblings, their grandparents and anybody else that they come in contact with safe. So, you know, we send a kindergartner back home, they're going to have contact with a number of people. Are there any questions? No questions? So something's going on about a Zoom meeting on Friday.
Yep.
So the people who will basically hear kind of the same thing that we just said now will be covered on a Zoom meeting. All right. Seeing that, then we're on to committee reports. Finance and Facilities Committee. Robbie.
Yep, thanks, Bob. The Finance and Facilities Committee met at the end of June before the close of the budget to go over where we were. In the only cost center that we have that is overrun would be the maintenance. And I met with the auditors this week, and they should be finished. Did they say, Scott, by Friday?
They should be out a little late tomorrow afternoon.
Yeah, and they said everything was looking fine, and their report should get typed up by our August meeting. Usually is when we see it, or the beginning of September. Yeah. And they said they hadn't run across any issues as of yet, and the staff was more than cooperative and helpful.
All right. Any questions? I think there's going to be some good news in the auditor's report when they get done.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's looking.
There's going to be some good news there. And on the facility side, Bob, the phase 2 project is going on. And if you go up 126 in the next week or so, you're going to be seeing traffic backing up because they're going to be installing the water line to Oak Hill.
Super.
Also, just to add to that, Bob, one of the things we're working on now is the RFP. We had talked about it. I had a meeting with Siemens just to look at what that looks like. I've been in contact with the state, the RFP, RFQ for construction. So school construction. So we're working on that. And we hope to have something out soon with that as well.
Thank you. Any questions from anybody? All right. And that would include if there's anybody in the community that would like to question on something here, that would be appropriate.
Even with these, closed times, and we have not had a policy meeting, so policies have kind of been put on hold.
But Joan, you'll be getting some in the mail shortly.
Oh, see?
Yep.
I say something and look what happens.
Yeah, we actually have
Okay.
some coming. There's some new Title IX policies. If
All right.
you've read anything in the news, Title IX has changed. We've also got some continued policy work going on. So you'll be getting some fun in the mail very shortly.
All right, thank you. I was running out of reading material.
Yeah, as long as you're not starting your fires with it.
Not yet. It's too hot.
Any questions? Seeing none. CAI Technology Committee report. Kathy shaking her head no. Does that mean no report?
We have not met. I can't even remember the last time we met. Kathy?
We met at the beginning of June. We don't normally meet in July, so.
Correct.
That's true. We normally don't meet in July.
But we did meet at the beginning of June. It just seemed a long time ago.
Okay. Board member comments. I don't see any. At this time, we're going to be, for informational purposes, we're going to enter into an executive session, provided the motion is made, second, and passes, to discuss, as the agenda says, professional assistance negotiations. Following that executive session, we may or may not do 11.1, which is to approve it. Somebody's going to have to move it. It's going to have to second it. It's going to have to be passed. But that's what's on the agenda. That's planned. And then the plan is to adjourn. So for informational purposes, we're going to have the executive session that will only be the board members, the superintendent as the secretary, and I believe Scott Eldridge, business manager, would be included.
And Bob, just so you know, that motion doesn't have Scott on it. I would like to have the motion have Scott on it.
Yeah, we'll put that on to make the original motion. So if you want to stick around, what we're going to do is move either all the school board members into a special room or the public into a special room where they will wait till the executive session's open. We will open them back and bring everybody back together so that they can watch us carry out business in open session, should they desire to stick around and watch that. I have no idea how long our executive session will last. Not trying to discourage anybody, but you just want to keep it on in the background, and when we come back, there it'll be. There is no business at all planned to be taken, nor will I probably acknowledge any other than what's on the agenda, and we would just then adjourn after that action item. So at this time, I'd like to ask for a motion to enter into executive session pursuant to 1 MRSA 405-6D with the business manager, professional assistance negotiations.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? Seeing none, call for the vote.
Bob?
Yes.
Stephanie? Okay, thumbs up. Robbie?
Yes.
Joe?
Yes.
Jen?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Dory? You got a thumbs up. Okay. And Joan?
Yes.
Okay, motion carries. We'll be in at about 8:20. So what I'm going to do is move everybody else into the waiting room, and then when we come back out, I will bring you back into public session. All right.
Welcome again to Diane, Kate, and Nicole. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. If you're not still around later.
This is going to take me a minute.
So Andy, what do you do? Stop recording?
I'm going to, yeah.
Okay.
I'm actually done. All right, so we're out at 7:37, and I'm going to bring people back in. All right. It'll take them a minute. All right. So we are out of executive session.
Okay. Item number 11.1, to approve the RSU number 4 professional assistance collective bargaining agreement. May I have a motion, please?
So moved.
So moved.
I have two motions. May I have a second?
Second.
All right.
Just-
Moved and seconded.
Twice.
Right.
Twice.
Twice, yes.
We're only going to vote once, though. Any
Okay.
discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
All right, Bob,
Yes.
Stephanie, Robbie,
Yes.
Joe,
Yes.
Jen,
Yes.
Dory,
Yes.
and Joan.
Yes.
Motion is approved.
All right, thank you.
Thank you all.
So at this time, with no other business to come before the board, I will declare this meeting adjourned.
7:39 p.m. Thank
All
you all
stay
very
safe.
much.
And
Thank
enjoy
you.
it. Stay cool next week.
All right, nice to see
Thank
you
you.
all.
Thanks,
Good
everybody.
night.
Bye now.
Good night,
everyone.
everybody.
Stay safe.
Welcome, Becky, if
Yes.
you're still there.
Yes, well, oh, she's gone.
Thank you all. Bob, you playing this weekend? Whoops, he's gone.
He's gone. He's got league tomorrow night, he told me.
Oh, okay.
All right.